Tony, did you hear the news? We got that round of funding we've been waiting for.
What? Really? Yes, Anna, we're going big.
We're going to celebrate. Margaritas, 5 o'clock at Casa Bonita.
I'll be there.
Oh, and obviously we're hiring. I asked HR to give you 10 new recs. They should be posted Monday.
Woohoo!
See you at 5.
10 new hires. Wow, I already have 8 direct reports. What am I going to do?
Here's a situation we see all the time. A small company, maybe 20 to 30 engineers, has some early success and is on the verge of a growth spurt. Up till this point, they haven't bothered with a formal manager role. Every engineer reports to the CTO or maybe one other VP. And so the CTO and VP have a dozen plus direct reports. This is a problem. It's bad for the CTO and it's bad for the employees. And it's going to get worse. You need managers. But here's the challenge. How do you find the right people? How do you maintain the right culture and management standards? Hi, I'm Paul Johnson, founder and managing director at Esalen Research. In this video, we're going to talk about identifying and training managers in your company. Whether you're a small company that needs more managers, or maybe you're a larger company that never formally established a tech management training and identification program, this video is for you. Let's go. Identifying and training managers is incredibly important. Managers set and maintain the company standards. Managers are the ones most responsible for instilling company culture. And most importantly, good management and employee retention go hand in hand. Overwhelmingly, people don't quit jobs, they quit bad managers. Perversely, this is why a lot of CTOs have trouble finding managers. It's too important. Of course, if you slice a CTO's time thin enough, it doesn't matter how good a manager they are. You need to shoot for 5 direct reports or less. If that sounds crazy, you've got a long way to go. But before you can find your managers, you need to have the right title structure in place. Which titles are eligible to be managers? Are you going to pay them more? Do you need directors? Basically, you need to draw an org chart. Don't worry about filling in names on the chart yet. That's the hard part. But worry about the structure. What would it look like? What will the titles be at the various levels? Next, think about your growth. When will you start needing directors? In engineering, part of this organizational design is to make sure you have both management and individual contributor growth paths. There was one company that hadn't considered this carefully enough. Beyond the title of senior staff engineer, all of the evaluation criteria were actually about leadership and visibility. And as a result, you had engineers that actually refused to get promoted. They were scared they would never work on a technical problem ever again. So design a promotion and titling system that has both manager and non-manager career tracks. Okay, now it's time for the hard part, finding your next manager. Here's what most CTOs do. They find the most type A people that are already showing technical leadership and maybe already leading small teams. After all, if you have an engineer that's already delegating to more junior people and is already evaluating their work, might as well make him a manager and have him do performance reviews too, right? Not so fast. People that are passionate about leading technical work don't necessarily have the aptitude or the mindset to be great managers. It's a small sign. It's not a guarantee. Don't assume. Here's the larger point. What should you expect from managers? My 3 key skills are empathy, mentorship, and communication. You may have other key skills you're looking for. Good, write them down. But limit yourself to maybe 5 key skills you're looking for. Now, here's how this works. Once you've identified the skills you're looking for, you have to actively look for demonstrations of those skills. This is much more complex than it sounds. Let's take an example. Say you're looking for empathy. Empathy is really the ability to understand the mindset of another. It's not obvious how to actually evaluate someone's capacity for empathy, especially when everyone's doing technical work. You really have to look for subtle cues. How do I look for empathy among my technical staff? Bill and Shazia are both very passionate about a particular technical debate. Say, how to re-architect some software. In a meeting, Linda is listening to both sides and notices Bill and Shazia aren't fully appreciating each other's points. During the meeting, Linda actually plays both sides. When she notices Shazia isn't quite appreciating Bill's point, she rephrases Bill's arguments in a way she thinks Shazia will understand better, and vice versa. These type of people I often call translators because they help two people bridge a communication gap. Linda is exhibiting empathy. She's able to understand differences in mindset. You may not think of this as traditional empathy because we think it's something kind of different. We think that empathy is something parents, friends, or psychiatrists do when discussing deep life problems. But that's a cliche and a very narrow definition. The larger point here is to notice behaviors like Linda's. It's easy to overlook behaviors like Linda's with everything else you have going on. So here's your homework. For each of your previously defined management skills, think about behaviors, like my translator example, and then look for those behaviors. Those are your manager candidates. If you're having a hard time with this, feel free to contact us. We can give you a list of skills and matching behaviors to look for in managers. Another thing you need to do is let people volunteer for events that are considered manager activities. This is an awesome technique because people will all of a sudden self-identify. Here's an example. Suppose you send an email to all engineers asking for volunteers to help to work on the company's criteria for hiring new grads. Tell them it involves an hour a week for 3 weeks. Send the email and just see who shows up. Those are the people that are potential management material. It means they care about this stuff. Now, you can be really imaginative about the kinds of events you create. There's also a huge win-win with this technique. Maybe you were going to define that new grad criteria by yourself, but now you're sharing the load. And even more importantly, by asking for volunteers for management tasks, you're signaling that everyone has an opportunity to influence such decisions. By defining and searching for the right skills, you will find your managers. Now what? Well, you've got to train them and you've got to maintain that training. When it comes to manager training, I feel very strongly that most manager training has the wrong focus. The focus seems almost entirely on skill building. Now, I'll admit, there are definitely learnable skills involved, and you do have to teach those skills. The skills I find most valuable in my career as a manager are learning how to actively listen, learning basic brain psychology and mindfulness, and learning how to set effective goals and also negotiation skills. Those skills and some others are very valuable. Again, you should learn and teach those. But that's not the end of it. That's actually the beginning. Most manager training will spend something like 3 days teaching skills and then graduate you from management university. The reality is that being a manager is more than acquiring skills. You do need the skills, but that's not all there is. For example, one aspect that is not discussed enough is that for all employees, your manager basically represents the company. Think of it like this. When you go to a restaurant, your primary interaction is with the waiter. If you don't like the food, if you think the music is too loud, if you think the walls can use a fresh coat of paint, that's the waiter's fault, period. The waiter represents the restaurant. Likewise, your managers represent your company to their direct reports. As a result, you better make sure those managers understand your key values. Teaching a manager skills without a deep discussion on values is a little like teaching a waiter how to take orders and serve food. It's just not enough. As a leader, you must create time for ongoing manager discussion and learning. Shoot for one initial skill building session, then monthly sessions after that. These monthly meetings are incredibly important for 2 reasons. 1, they give a space for role-playing and discussion of management challenges. But second, and a lot of companies miss this, they give an opportunity to discuss the entire staff. Here's what that meeting looks like. Each manager may spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about their direct reports, with an emphasis on engineers that need new tasks or maybe are struggling and need some mentorship. Then all the other managers chime in and discuss how to help. It's important that these monthly meetings have 0 project discussion. It's easy for the meeting to backslide into a status report on the latest project. You need to focus on discussing people. These monthly sessions are a huge help when it comes time for annual reviews. Because you've had these monthly discussions with your managers, the annual review becomes a summary session instead of a discovery session. To summarize, you need to make management an ongoing and explicit activity, not something that you do once a year. Design your org, define explicit manager attributes, then continuously evaluate manager candidates. Keep investing in your people. I've personally seen dramatic improvements in companies that do this. And if you think you're too small for this to be important yet, I hate to say it, but you're wrong. Great technical management is critical in small companies. It's the gift that keeps on giving, no matter your size. Employees get better representation, so retention goes up. And when you create a space to discuss challenges, you deal with problems quickly, and you get everyone feeling like they have more opportunity. You and your team can do this. Contact us if you want help getting started.
Okay, this is our monthly manager session. Who wants to start?
I'm having a challenge with Bob. You know how we asked him to work with that customer, but he's really apprehensive about how to talk to them.
Priya worked with that customer last year. I can have her join the next call with Bob. Good opportunity for Priya to do some mentorship.
Perfect.
Thanks. And don't forget, next month we'll start performance reviews. So start assembling all the feedback you've collected this past year.